Welcome back to the Remedial Film Class Podcast. I'm your host, Dan.
And I'm Travis.
And I'm George.
Hey, George.
I'm sorry, I don't hear you unless you knock.
Hey,
Oh.
you guys had shirts on when you came in here. Something must have happened to them.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is Spicoli in this version?
Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That's how he says happened. Something must have happened to him.
I don't know, man.
Who says
Still
happened?
too German. Still too. You got to
Too
dial it
German.
back.
Well, I'm German-Irish, so.
Whoa.
We watched Fast Times.
We watched Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Fast
Finally.
Times. Ridgemont High.
Did you enjoy Fast Times at Ridgemont High, George?
Moderately, yeah.
And Travis, is this an old favorite of yours like it is of mine?
Yeah. This is like my Cousin Vinny type movie. I watch this whenever. Christmas, doesn't matter.
I mean, there's a Christmas part in it. It's kind of a
is.
movie for all seasons in that regard.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not I wasn't in high school in the 80s, but it's definitely nostalgic for many reasons.
Now, George, a lot of this movie takes place in a structure that is unfamiliar to many of our listeners in this Amazon world, but it takes place in a thing called a, quote, shopping mall. Are you familiar with the concept?
I've heard of them, yes.
Yes, you'll see them in a lot of
yeah.
80s things, and then they ceased to exist once Bill Gates took over the world.
Bill Gates, you mean,
Our mall's doing okay here.
the hell's the guy's name from
Oh,
Amazon?
Bezos.
Bezos?
Bezos, yeah. I mean Gates, Bezos, whatever.
Tomato.
Yeah, we have a couple of malls in Missouri, but there's like one in each major metro, and they're kind of old and decrepit at this point because nobody goes.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I'm right close to the Cherry Hill Mall, but I'm also right across the street from the Morristown Mall. So there's two malls.
We have two malls within like a 5-mile radius.
5 miles or so.
Two major malls.
And I never go there because it's sad.
It's
It's
not.
like a sad place.
It's sad, but not because it's empty. Like, our malls actually are active, but not like they used to be.
It'll
used to
never
be a
be
big-
like it used to be
No.
unless Stranger Things pushes this younger generation into
Yeah.
a new, like, paradigm for how they want to shop and hang out. And I'd be
What's
fine
funny
with
is in
that.
that season when it takes place in the mall, it's it's reminiscent of this movie big time.
Yeah.
Like it has the same exact feel, even down to the outfits.
Now, of course, we did see a previous Remedial film that took place in a mall, but there were less zombies this time, and only one gun in this movie as opposed to the plethora of guns in Dawn of the Dead.
I was gonna say, where was the car in the movie? Like, don't all shopping malls have cars?
Like a car chase?
Yeah, destroying them inside? No?
No, the only car wreck in this movie is Mike Damone.
Oof.
Man, he's gonna kill me, then he's gonna kill you, he's gonna shit, and
First
then
he's
he's gonna
shit.
kill me, and then he's gonna kill you. So good.
I thought you said he was going to kill you. Yeah, first he's going to shit, then he's going to kill me. That's good stuff.
Such a good flick. So, George, this is one of the all-time greats, and I don't know if a first watch is going to be enough. Pretty much everybody who touched this movie got the Midas touch after this. Like, and a lot of these guys, most of these guys are unknowns. They might have been in one movie before or something, but once they were in this movie, it just made like 15 careers.
Yeah. This is a great example of why we're doing this. Because George doesn't really understand, because he didn't grow up then. He doesn't understand the significance that this movie was and still is. The trends it started, the careers it started. Where the director from this movie went to later on, where the writer of this movie went on to do. Like, everybody in this movie became household names, like, on an epic level.
And
I mean,
kind
there's
of
even-
out of nowhere. Like, this is not this is not a project that people thought was going to be a big hit. And it actually like had to fight its way to a moderate release because even the studio was like, ugh, is this movie any good? We don't know. And then it just, of word of mouth, exploded and made everybody's career.
I liked it because it felt like it was the prequel to Clerks.
It
Yeah.
kind of had that feel.
You
It
know?
definitely has, I mean, Clerks has a definite feel. Yeah. There's only like 2 degrees of separation from this to Clerks. So yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of ends on that final note. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention socially, like just the stuff that they're tackling in a not so conventional way makes it stand out as well. I mean, the fact that it's a woman director handling subject matter that usually guys do.
Mm.
You know, when you watch Porky's, that's the guy version of this movie. Like Porky's has no layers at all.
Yeah, agreed.
This has layers. This has situations,
Mhm.
commentary, things that maybe guys don't think about, but girls do, and that's why the main characters are girls. But it's still a guy film. There's plenty in here for guys.
I believe it's a film for all people.
Yeah, so it's done well by Amy Heckerling because, and she goes on to do more movies like this that become like the anthem of a generation.
I think it's funny that you said she does things like tackle subject matter that guys usually do, because like isn't like every director a guy? Like,
Well,
isn't,
yeah, I
isn't
mean,
there
she-
like a huge like
Well, I just mean
disparate number of women in directing movies?
absolutely. Like she was kind of
So it's
a glass ceiling
a glass ceiling breaker.
breaker.
Yeah.
But it was written by a guy, so the subject matter
Ah,
is
see, that's why it has nuance and such. You know, not like Scream. You know what I mean? Remember that? That was terrible.
Scream was horrible.
I mean, Scream was great, but for those parts where you needed a woman's touch,
Well, your woman's touch.
yeah, they didn't have it.
Agreed.
But you get a character like Rat who's, you know, very sensitive. And then you have Damone who's like the quintessential asshole, you know, douchebag guy.
Yeah,
And then you have Rat who kind of relates to the girls more because he's sensitive and he's apprehensive and he's not fast, but the girls are pretending to be fast, but they're not.
Yeah.
Like it's just a lot of layers. Like I don't even know if Phoebe Cates' character actually ever did anything with anybody.
well, you know,
She seemed like she was coming off as she knew shit.
yeah, Phoebe Cates' character reminded me of the popular chick from American Beauty. But
Right.
you don't find out until like Kevin Spacey's about to, you know, and she's like, she never did it before, and he was
Right.
like, nah,
Right.
can't do it. But that was exactly the same character because she's like fronting like she's doing that all the time, whatever,
Mhm.
blah blah blah, no big deal, this, that, and the other thing, pressuring other girls and stuff, and
Like
then
almost living through them.
yeah, and then come to find out like she doesn't
But that's not
know
established.
anything, never done nothing.
But it's just that I guess it's open to interpretation.
It is, but the way she was talking about it, it seemed like she probably didn't have much experience.
Right. Like you know that guy you go to school with and he's like, "Oh, yeah. We'll cover it in
She's got a fiance in Chicago. Yeah, right.
in 40-Year-Old Virgin." Like if you ever watch that.
I've seen that.
Oh, you've seen it. Well,
Yeah.
when they do the bag of sand thing.
Oh, what do boobs feel like? Yeah.
And it's like the guy who like is basically fronting and then he says something and you're just like, you really don't know, do you? And that's how I feel with her. Like
Yeah,
that ending scene where she was like writing that letter to the college boyfriend. It's almost like, oh, okay, well maybe she's not as put together as she acts like.
No.
And we all had those girls we went to school with where they, you know, they were too good to date the high school guys. Like they were already moving it on to the college kids. Right, Dan?
Yeah, there was a lot of women in my high school.
That's
like
right.
that.
You were school. Yeah, all four
Yeah.
of them.
I relate to everything you're saying, Trev.
So, George, you sit through a classic movie. How many times did you guffaw at this movie?
Probably 4 times.
Yeah, that sounds
That's
about
not
right.
bad.
Like
It's
out loud.
definitely
like-
not like a slapstick comedy. It is
No.
it's a dramedy, maybe.
It's definitely dramedy.
Yeah.
Funny situations.
Yeah.
A couple funny characters, but not goofy.
I mean, Sean Penn's pretty goofy.
Yeah, but I went to school with guys like him. So did you. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
it's
Okay,
not like
can I-
he's not far off.
Can I confess?
You were him,
No.
Oh.
Well, yeah, kind of.
kind of.
But
Yeah.
also,
Except for skateboards.
He was
No, that
definitely the
wasn't my-
Spicoli of his homeschool.
That was- yeah.
Yeah, I met all the other students.
that wasn't my. I wasn't really into the. I wasn't into smoking that
Right.
much, but
He's
I
just head of the curve.
I skated a lot.
Right.
I don't think I was ever that kind of like far out. But
No,
like,
you weren't ever like
um,
a stoner.
I was definitely. I had friends like that.
They were actually high
had-
during
I
some
had-
of these scenes on
yeah, I
purpose.
bet.
Like, for real.
I've had good friends that were just like that.
Right.
I watched the entire movie and did not know that was Sean Penn.
Yeah.
I did not recognize him as.
Did I just
I
have
did-
a guffaw?
I did
Yeah.
not recognize Spicoli as Sean Penn at all
Wow.
until his name went across the screen at the end of the
Wow.
movie, and I turned to my wife and I said, "Is that Sean Penn? Like
Yeah.
that Sean Penn?"
Uh-huh.
She's like, "Yeah."
That is that Sean
You didn't
Penn, yes.
recognize him, and I'm like, "No," and I had to rewind. and watch
He
it again.
is he's method in this movie, and everything
Mhm.
I was hearing like Offset, he was going by Spicoli. He wouldn't let you call him Sean. Like,
Yeah.
and so it's that thing where Travis always talks about acting versus being.
He was being.
He was gone. He was lost to the role. So I don't blame you for not recognizing him because yeah, he's a whole different person.
Like,
And it shows. Like that scene when Mr. Hand rips up his pass. He looks like he's going to freaking cry. Like it is like,
Yes.
and he's like, "You,
yes.
hey, bud, what's your problem?" Like it's like he
Yes.
looks like he's gonna kill him.
Yeah.
You dick! Like it's just like he's the only one in this movie not acting.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Hand is not acting, but he's awesome.
Mr. Hand is
But-
my hero. I'm pretty sure on this
Yeah.
show I am Mr. Hand, and I'm
Yeah.
really sorry about that.
I do relate to him more now than I did then. Like I'm constantly when he rolls his eyes and puts his hand over his eyes, and like that's me parenting all the time with
Mhm,
my
mhm.
boys. I have 3 Spicolis, and it's like I am literally talking about my time.
You think everyone's
all
on
the
dope?
time? Yeah. Are you on dope? What are you on dope?
So Spicoli's got his little band of dudes that he's with everywhere, and one of them's played by
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards, who is really, I guess, most famous now for being on ER forever as Dr.
And he was
Green.
Goose in Top Gun.
But he was Goose in Top Gun, and then he's also in Revenge of the Nerds right after this, which we'll probably run
Yes.
across here sooner rather than later. But the other member of the trio of stoners is played by Eric Stoltz. Now,
The Eric Stoltz.
George, do you recognize that name at all? Because we haven't talked about him too much.
Not really, no.
He was the original Marty McFly.
Yes. Filmed the
okay.
entire movie, pretty much.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they redid a lot of Back to the Future with Michael J. Fox because the chemistry just wasn't there with Eric Stoltz.
That's crazy.
But here's the thing, the dance scene in this movie compared to the Enchantment Under the Sea dance in Back to the Future,
Yes.
I mean, does it look like it does in Back to the Future if this movie doesn't shoot it this way? I don't know. So it's kind of interesting to think like, yeah, you'd not only pull like the visuals a little bit, but you also pull Eric Stoltz and then, oh God, right at the last minute you have to eject and the canopy's still there. No, that's the other guy. Never mind. But, you know, it's just interesting that, yeah, Eric Stoltz is here and he would have been in Back to the Future in a very similar dance.
Hmm.
Yeah, the I thought when during the dance scene and also throughout the different parts of the entire movie, the music in this movie is great.
Yes.
Excellent
the
soundtrack.
Really, really
Excellent
good.
soundtrack.
Although Somebody's Baby is one of my favorite Jackson Brown songs. I'm a big fan of
Ruined.
Jackson Brown,
Ruined.
but it's kind of ruined after watching it again today because every time I hear that
Yeah.
song, something horrible is happening in the movie.
And you can't even think of like Jennifer Jason Leigh. You're just picturing Damone with no clothes on but his socks. Like it's just like
it's just like
I really gotta go, Stace.
scuzzy socks.
So,
like,
full disclosure, I've seen Jennifer Jason Leigh in probably a dozen movies at this point, and this is the only movie I can stand her in. I feel like most of the time she's acting a character so hard that like she forgets to emote.
Yeah,
There's a movie Kansas City, which I had
I'm sure
an
you watched
inclination that it was going to be awesome, and it's like in the 30s and it's a period thing, and I'm like, okay, this will be fine. And she shows up and it's just like, hey, sweetheart. I'm just like, oh god.
She's pretty good in Single White Female.
She's good
but
in Single
I
White
don't really
Female.
Like her
Yeah,
in
that's a
many
good flick.
Other things,
And she's pretty good in just an utter train wreck of a movie, Eyes of a Stranger. Have you ever seen that?
Yes.
Oh my god. Like that movie exists in a world. This is a sidebar, but you know, we talk about how Friday the 13th and Halloween and then Friday the 13th Part 2 and how like those three movies kind of define where that genre was going. Well, before you had that kind of direction and people were still shooting in the dark as to what was allowed and what was not allowed in a movie, Eyes of a Stranger, which is just like 70s sexploitation mixed with a lot of slasher elements and like true crimey feelings, but like way off the charts skis. Like they didn't make movies like that too much longer. So
Oof.
it's awful. But she's pretty good in it, I guess. I mean,
Well, what's great about the friend group, the other stoners, is that they all auditioned for Spicoli, and she liked them so much that she actually created those parts for them, because I think someone else in this movie also auditioned for 2 parts, didn't get either, but he's so visually
interesting to
needed.
look at.
Interesting to look at that he got a part in this movie and he has no lines, but he pops up a few times and you probably did not recognize him.
Are you talking about
I think I did.
Mr. Coppola?
Yes, Mr. Coppola.
Oh, no, never mind.
Who you think I'm talking about?
No, never mind.
Okay.
I won't even say it.
So he auditioned for Brad and I think Spicoli, but he lied about his age, so he couldn't have those parts, so then they put him in the background because he's a Coppola.
Now, do you remember who Francis Ford Coppola is, George?
Yeah.
Okay, his nephew, Nicolas Coppola, pops up in this movie.
Yeah.
He's one of the fry cooks. Doesn't have a word to say, but
cook.
he's around in the opening job scenes and he's in the yeah. Do you know who we're talking about?
I don't know Nick as well as Francis, but yeah.
You do actually.
Do I?
Here, let me send you a picture. Let me send you a screenshot and see if you recognize.
Oh my God.
If you recognize this guy.
It's not RoboCop.
Definitely not sending you a nude image or anything. You can totally open this blind. Doesn't matter who's in the room.
I made my my movie club, my side hustle,
Yeah.
my side chick. I made them all watch RoboCop. They all hated it.
Of course they did.
What is wrong with them dumb people? You need smarter friends. Do you recognize the guy on the right there?
Oh yeah, fuck that guy. I forgot he changed his name. Fuck that guy.
He's fine in this. He doesn't say
That's
a word.
who I was gonna say, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm not sure if that's him or I'm not sure if that's like just someone that kind of looks like him. And the camera doesn't stay on him long enough for for me to tell.
No, he's if you blink, you miss him.
I'd love to think
Exactly.
that there's a little bit of Nicolas Cage hiding in every movie we watch, at least through George's eyes. Like,
Dude, I'm so
George
fucking
just
pissed
starts
off
to
that I
see Nick
forgot he
Cage
changed
in
his
every movie.
fucking name. Changed his freaking name.
Well, he didn't
You know,
want
I
to
was
get
thinking-
famous based on his famous last
He's
name.
Nick fucking Cage.
I could have seen him playing Brad though. It would have been good.
Asshole.
Just hearing him do, I hope you had a really great piss, Arnold.
But Judge Reinhold, he's real good. He looked a lot like Eddie
Yeah.
Vedder, which I think is weird.
A little bit.
There was an interview I watched with him today where he's a little bit older and he has like the little goatee and the slightly longer hair, and I'm just like, oh, it's just Eddie Vedder. That's weird.
I think he might have had the toughest part in this movie.
He's the glue, man.
Yeah.
And I'm not just referring to that one scene.
Which character are we talking about?
Does anybody fucking knock? Judge Reinhold, Brad, the brother.
Oh yeah, he's great.
He's like, he can't catch a break.
When
That,
you
to
say
me,
when you say he's the glue,
well, he's
and
the main character.
we make the joke about it. Are we thinking about the same scene? There's an actual scene or no?
No, just
well, yeah, we made reference to the bathroom scene.
the
when he
masturbation
was,
scene.
Okay, no, not that scene. Okay, so it wasn't him.
Okay.
It was okay. You asked me earlier the scenes that made me laugh out loud.
Right.
Well, I forget what character it was.
That's
I
fine.
didn't know who anybody was because it was the first 10 seconds of the movie.
Mhm.
But they like just get back to school, right? And the dude opens his locker and there's like I don't know what it was, like gum in the locker or
yeah.
something.
It's Rat.
And yeah, was it Rat who?
Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't know who Rat was at the time.
Right.
So and then like it like I don't know, 15 20 seconds later it goes back to him and he's got it like all over
Everywhere.
him. I laughed out loud.
Because I've been there.
I laughed out loud and I thought to myself, this is okay, it's this kind of movie. Right. So but that was just like a kind of like a minor thing that just kind of like
Mhm.
surprised me, and I laughed because it was just so I don't know, just like there
Right.
and so quick, and it just kept going. Really funny.
But it never goes back to that.
But
Like
can
that,
I tell you the funniest part of this movie, dude? No, it never goes
that's
back
the only
to it
time
either.
you get like a slapsticky kind of,
Yeah.
Naked Gun kind of feel.
That's not. Yeah, I mean, there's some other things, but not. It's not slapstick by any means. Like not the whole movie. The funniest fucking part was the biology teacher, the biology teacher's wife.
Mr. Farkas.
Oh my god, dude.
You met my wife?
Dude,
It's
they
like,
show up at the dance.
and the one kid's shaking her hand
and
way too long.
She's smoking, and he's so weird.
Oh, he's great. He came up in another movie we watched, didn't he?
Cuckoo's Nest. I bet was he in
Cuckoo's
Cuckoo's
Nest. Yeah, he was one of the inmates. But he's the quintessential 80s character actor.
Yes.
Like if he's got one line or 10 lines or 100 lines, you remember him. Like he's just by his visual.
Yep.
But he plays that science teacher so well because
he does have a unique visual.
Yes. And his delivery. He reminds me of like that's why Ben Stein did so well in the 80s when he played a teacher, because he just has that delivery, that Fry Bueller, like that. You hear that name, you know who's saying it, and all these memories come back of every teacher you've ever had. Like he's just Farkas is that same way when he holds up that human heart, which none of us are really ever going to an autopsy in high school.
Yeah, right.
But like, are you in my class? He's like, I am today.
Dude, I love Spicoli's reaction when he found out he can make $25 by selling his body to science when he dies.
But that
he's like, oh, really? Wow.
That line, that gnarly. Like, I wonder if that was even written. Like, that, it's just, to me, because he was method, I'm wondering, I would love to see how much of that shit or those one-liners did he put in there.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to track down the book. It's like 50 years out of print, so I doubt it'll be too easy.
It's expensive. It's like $200.
But if I can find it at a library or something, I'm going to check this book out, because I can't imagine. The thing George probably doesn't know, George, you ought to know this, Cameron Crowe, I don't know a ton about his early life, but somehow he ends up a reporter for Rolling Stone at like 16 years old.
16, yeah.
And so as part of
Okay.
like an assignment, he re-enrolled in high school undercover for a year and wrote a book about it. And that's the book that this movie is based on.
Okay.
So between him enrolling in the 80s and then Kevin Bacon enrolling in high school in a rural area to get a feels for Footloose, I guess in the early 80s, they were just like, hey, anybody can sign up. We're not checking IDs.
We had a narc in our middle school, so I mean, it's not unheard of. I remember somebody being in our middle school that looked like they were like a junior in high school.
So strange.
So, yeah. Oh, man. Damone. Can we talk about Damone?
Let's talk about Damone.
Do we have to?
You don't like Damone? He's so sleazy. But he's like, I don't know.
I think he turned into the serial killer in No Country for Old Men.
I saw a commercial recently of him, maybe in the past 10, 15 years. He looks exactly the same.
Yeah,
just
like the serial
older.
killer in
Yeah, like
No
the-
Country for Old Men.
I don't know. I like Damone. I don't like him as a person, but I think the character's fun. He's got the best one-liners.
Well, and I think we
I
all
mean-
knew people who were kind of like not willing to. They were people who were willing to do more work, not to have to do the regular kind of work.
Right.
You know, put all the effort into not working.
The kid who sold his Halloween candy in lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. The kid who would stop at 7-Eleven and like sell candy at lunch and in homeroom. Yeah. We all knew a Damone of some sort. Concert tickets weren't big, and I guess they kind of were, but not in my school.
He was marking them Jones up.
Yes, he was. Ba-na-na-na-na-na-na.
By a lot.
I just made $16. Okay, cool, man. Great.
I'm sorry. I think his character is very good.
I mean, where would this story be without him, though? Like, he sucks, but you need negative energy that he brings sometimes. And he's not all negative, but he definitely chaotic, chaotic
he's a train
neutral,
wreck.
chaotic evil. I don't know.
Oh,
He
he's
definitely brings
outside helping his
something-
dad clean the garage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such a dick.
God. When they're on the science trip, one thing this movie does so well, and I don't know if it's the direction, I don't know if it's the writing, I don't know if it's just this confluence of like people who don't know what they're doing, but like have a vision. They're in the hospital. They walk by the maternity ward, and the kids are all acting goofy like you do on a field trip. But Jennifer Jason Leigh's character, Stacy, just looks like her heart's being ripped out while she's standing there looking at the newborn babies. But the camera doesn't focus on it. You don't get this like dramatic, well-scored, like sad chord as it zooms in on her sadness. She just does that in the middle of a shot, and then they move on.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
And
dwell
you don't even
on
know
it.
if that's directed, like you said.
Right, and you don't know, like, you could watch
That
this
could've been
movie
a
3
character
times and
choice.
never notice if you're too busy looking at different parts of frame. And that, like,
I've seen this movie about 100 times and I never even noticed that.
yeah, she looks devastated. And it's just like
Yeah.
such a good little touch that you didn't know was there. You didn't need it, but it added so much.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Well, that
the heart
there's a
comes
lot
out.
of that in this movie. Like even with the all,
And then the heart comes
and then the heart comes out. Like all the sex scenes, there's zero romanticism to it. Like it's all
Yeah.
just events, happenings, except for the dream sequence where Brad is thinking of Linda.
Mm.
That's the only one. It's like gloriously like just like hair flowing. Obviously her hair's wet, so her hair's not flowing. But like that foxy moment.
Yeah, it's the Christmas vacation scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which they totally lampoon.
Yeah.
Which is great. But yeah, that's the only scene that really glorifies or romanticizes that kind of behavior.
Well, and even
So-
then, the romanticizing, fantasizing
gets interrupted with reality.
is just, yeah, exactly. It's just the fantasy. And the
Mhm.
actual act that's happening is just as mechanical and awkward as the two other sex scenes.
Doesn't anybody knock anymore?
And they purposely, like, even before the fucking knock scene, like, when she does that beautiful, that whole scene, and then they show her for real jump in the water,
Mhm.
she gets out, and she acts so awkward. She, like, puts her finger in her ear. It's, like, totally unsexy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's, like, I love the parallel of
Yeah.
that whole scene. And then, obviously, when she goes in, because there's not a guy alive that's my age that didn't have a crush on Phoebe Cates for like till today. Like literally she was everybody's crush back then. But to show her in both lights, like even when she catches Brad and her face, like there's nothing sexy about her reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's just like, ooh. She just does this face
Yeah.
as she's got her finger in her
Well,
ear.
and they do such a good job as she leaves the bathroom. She's just got that face like, ugh,
Yeah.
But they don't dwell on it. They don't make it a thing. It's just a thing that happens, and we move on with the
Yep.
movie. Like, this movie resists the urge to dwell and, like, oversell any of these moments.
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely.
Testament to
So-
that director.
So, obviously when I see who's in this movie, right, when their names are popping up on the screen in the beginning, Phoebe Cates,
Yes.
right? I was like, I know that name from somewhere, and I just "No, I'll just keep watching." And then I looked her up to see like which of the characters is Phoebe Cates, because like I know that she's like she looks good, right?
Yeah, the bombshell.
And I'm like, and I don't know how I know that. Like I've never like seen a movie with Phoebe Cates in it, I don't think. And I don't remember like any one of my friends or anyone that I know like having a huge crush on Phoebe Cates. And I'm like watching this and I'm like, why did I have the urge to look her up and figure out who she is and blah blah blah. And then that scene happened, the pool scene.
Mm-hmm.
And
Slower.
it clicked. And I sent you guys a Spotify. I don't know if you guys opened it or listened to it, but it's a song from 2001 called Phoebe Cates.
Probably
and I listened
guys
to
that
it.
Are my age.
And I listened to it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh! I've been listening to this song for 20 years, and I had no idea what they were talking about."
That's funny.
Now, I'm not a huge, Phoenix fan. Like that's the band or whatever.
Right.
But it was definitely on like a mixtape that I listened to when I was, 15.
Right.
Had no idea who Phoebe Cates was.
Well, it reminds me of that video that Dan had us watch about Friday 13th Part 5. What was the name of that song, Dan? Where the talks about
Yeah,
Wolfie's just fine.
Yeah. It reminds me of that because the thing about that scene is like it defined a generation of people, and it has nothing to do with I don't know how to describe it because it was kind of like my age group. We were too young to watch this, but we watched it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, wow.
So it's like a traumatic moment for your generation.
Not traumatic at all.
Well,
it
it's
was
not
like,
negative traumatic, but
Right,
still
right.
like impactful in the same method or same manner, same degree as a traumatic incident.
Right. And then I think she might have been one of her and Fay Ray, which we always talk about, but she might have been one of the first like modern women that I saw where I was like, oh, like, yeah, I'm getting like not the feelings. Like you see her in Gremlins. She's in Gremlins
in
a turtleneck and a parka, and she's just as hot to me in Gremlins as she is in this movie. So it's really not. It's just there's something stunning about her. Even before that scene, like when you saw her in her in the mall, like as soon as she's on screen, she's just eating it up.
I agree.
So it was like she was that first modern girl where I was like, oh, okay.
I agree.
Yeah. Noise. And then that scene happened. I'm like, holy shit. Yeah, it was like totally bonkers. I might have been like 12 when I saw this movie.
Oh my
first
gosh.
Time. 11.
You were in your glory.
Yeah. But it wasn't made for me. Like
I bet you locked the door after that scene.
I don't remember.
Okay.
I remember wearing a tape out a bit, though.
Oh, jeez. Well, our generation had Denise Richards and Jamie Presley. Thank you, Jamie Presley, for your service.
Yes. Oh, yes, definitely. But Phoebe Cates blows Jamie Presley away. I'm sorry.
I don't know. Yeah, probably. I don't know.
I don't know.
There's something girl next door about her.
Phoebe Cates is very, very attractive.
And she was in like Drop Dead Fred. Like she was a big deal in the 90s.
She's
80s, 90s. And her husband in real life, George, you'll be happy to know.
Don't tell me it's Nick Coppola.
No, better. Asshole.
For real?
That's her husband.
Good
in real
for
life.
him, bro.
He's been with her for like 35 years.
Good for them. Actually, I can see that. Those two? Yeah.
She's been retired for a while, as I think he is now. But yeah, she kind of left, have kids and whatever.
Sure.
But she did a shit ton of movies where like very iconic mainstream movies, and then all of a sudden she was gone. She pulled a Rick Moranis where she's like nowhere to be seen.
Well, and I wonder if the casting of Judy Aronson, the lady from Friday 4 who pops up later in Weird Science.
Weird Science, yeah.
The brunette. I wonder if her career is basically like as another Phoebe Cates. You know, she kind of has the same look. And right about the same time. Can't get Phoebe, you get Judy Aronson.
Well, they were two different crushes. I hadn't seen her in Friday 13th, but I had a crush on her from Weird Science.
There you go.
Definitely.
Nothing wrong with the 80s. I mean, a lot wrong with the 80s, but these two things in particular, nothing wrong with this aspect of it.
You know what I was thinking while I was watching it yesterday?
What's that?
This cast is exactly what I've always wanted in a Friday 13th movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if these were the kids that were
Yeah.
at Camp Crystal Lake, I'd watch an entire series of, like, if they did, like, a Netflix series of Jason Voorhees at Camp Crystal Lake. If these were the kids that were at the camp,
Yeah.
you could make 30 of those movies.
All right, now jump in your time machine back to the first fall break as we made poor George watch all of these movies.
Mhm.
And remember when we were talking about Friday the 13th, part 4, the final chapter, sort of. The final-ish chapter of the first part of the series. We talked about how the kids that they cast as the main kids were so much more likable than the last group, so much more intertwined, and how it felt like Fast Times. And,
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, you're right. Exactly. Having a cast like this in a Friday the 13th movie would be awesome, and it totally worked the one time they actually pulled it off.
Yep.
Part 6 kind of had the same kind of thing, but part 4 for sure.
Yeah, part 6 did. But they just check all the boxes. And they're interesting. Like, they're not just like body count. Like, they would be interesting, and I would root for them.
Yeah.
They would lose.
They would lose.
But
yeah. Except for that Dick Damone.
Oh my
Hey,
God.
Jason, I got some tickets for you.
Dude, he would he would probably trip Mark running away from Jason
Damone would
'Cause
be
he's-
like Shelley.
because he's that much of a dick.
Yikes. Poor Damone.
No, the handstand guy. He would be like handstand guy in part
Part 3.
3, yeah.
Handstand guy.
Guy walks around on his hands.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like a lot. And then
Like a lot.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
and then when you think he's safe, right down the middle. Ew.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what
because what go ahead.
what 26-year-old hooks up with a high school girl in the dugout of a baseball field?
That guy.
Ugh.
Ron
So-
Johnson.
You say that you'd like to
Apparently.
see a Friday the 13th movie with this cast. I would argue that as a parent watching this movie for the first time as a parent, this already is a horror movie for a
Yeah,
good chunk
yeah.
at the beginning. Ugh.
Dan, I was thinking the same thing.
Her mom tucks her in, and then a few minutes later,
Well-
she's getting railed in a dugout.
Well, first of all,
Like-
the mom tucking her in was so weird because I was like, "Yo, what high school kids has their
Well,
mom?"
you just wanted to
tucking her-
establish that June
Eh,
Cleaver
it's-
kind of
okay, it's-
upbringing.
It's weird.
It is weird because there are
no.
no other adults other than Mr. Han in this movie.
Yeah,
Like she's the only one who's
I
kind
was
of
like, okay, that's weird. And then, yeah, and then she goes and she's getting railed in a dugout. I think that was worse than. I'm sorry to keep bringing up American Beauty, but people always, not to say people, some people have said that their issue is with the sex scene with the underage girl,
Right.
in American Beauty, which is not a sex scene.
It's a fantasy. Right?
Well, one of them isn't a fantasy,
Okay.
but it ends up not being a sex scene because Kevin Spacey is redeemed.
I've never seen that movie all the way through,
Okay.
so I'm not.
You need
spoil
you need to
away.
watch that movie.
You're not
spoil
selling me
away.
on
Stat.
watching this movie.
You need to watch that movie stat, okay?
Ugh.
Stat.
No thanks.
So Kevin Spacey obviously is crushing on one of his daughter's friends, right? Having fantasies about her. And like the situation happens where he's actually like, it's actually going to happen, and then it doesn't because he stops it. And it's at that point when he stops being a creepy old guy and is taking responsibility and is redeemed. And then, spoiler alert, he's immediately shot in the head.
Oh, that reminds me of another movie that I can't talk about because now it would ruin the ending.
Okay, you need to watch that movie stat. It's amazing. But people have an issue with that,
It's George's favorite movie.
with that scene, and it's not even a sex scene. They don't
Mm.
even do it. In this movie, the sex scene happens, and it's just there.
Mm-hmm.
And the same people that don't like American Beauty
Love this movie.
like this movie. And I'm like, this is so much worse.
Yeah.
So much worse. So creepy. I was like, which I guess is how I was supposed to feel. But
Well, I guess because it's consensual, it's not. No, it's creepy. But I'm
well,
saying
legally
like,
she
it's,
can't consent. So is it consensual?
Right.
No,
legally,
it's-
no.
yeah.
He's screwed legally. But what I'm saying is, you know how when some people are like, "Oh, I love that movie," and it's like, wait, doesn't the one best friend steal the husband from the other best friend? But that's happily ever after. You love this movie because it's a romantic comedy.
yeah.
But the guy just broke up a marriage. Like, there's just certain movies where people are like, "Oh, I love that movie," but you're like, morally, it's fucked up.
Okay. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, we
And-
like movies where people get murdered with machetes.
But
True.
this is another level where that person that likes that movie that you're talking about, Travis, is like, I can't stand people who cheat.
Right.
It's like, but that's what the movie
Right. That's
that
what it's all about.
you love that movie, but you
Like My Best Friend's Wedding. Actually, if you see any romantic comedy, most of them have to do with someone wronging someone else and getting the girl that they took from somebody else. And that's like, because Jennifer Lopez is in it and Matthew McConaughey, it's now all of a sudden cute.
So you're
It's like,
saying
no.
when those two are on screen, it's all right.
All right.
All right.
it's 3 times all right.
To be fair, in this
Did-
movie, though, I mean, you have that with Damone, but then Rat still is able to, like, remain consistently interested until he finally wins the day.
Right.
Yes. And they have probably at the end the relationship that will probably last.
Yeah.
Out of
I kept thinking to myself, he's the guy that he's her speed. And she's trying to live the life that Linda's talking about. And Linda's not even living that life.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
So it's like, in the end, her trying to fit in and trying to, the peer pressure and all that stuff is keeping her from the life she should have that
It's
she's able to live and be good with, which
It's-
she finally gets.
It's funny because Phoebe Cates is saying she's trying to be mature, right?
Right.
Like even like in her breakup letter to her boyfriend in Chicago, she's like, I have another one where I called him an asshole, and she's like, no, that one's fine. And she's like, it's more mature, right?
More
And not
mature,
just-
right.
She's trying to be mature the entire time, and then what actually ends up happening is that what's her name?
Stacy.
Stacy ends up being the one who I don't want to say settles down because they don't go that far, but she pretty much does settle down with
Right.
Mark, right? And that has to be like the most mature move out of all the things that are happening in this
Right.
movie. Like she decides she wants to have a relationship. That's like the most mature thing any of these kids have done in this whole
Right.
movie.
Right.
But you're right,
Well,
Travis,
Brad-
about the speeds. I mean, obviously fast times at Ridgemont, but Damone, as much as we like shit on him for being a big piece of crap, because he is,
He's a little prick.
his worst
He's a
moments
little
in this
prick.
movie are when he tries to keep up with this speed that Stacy's trying to live.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, like he talks big, but he, just like all of them, is just fronting.
Yep.
And gets caught with his pants down.
Because that scene where he's like, he walks her home, he's apprehensive the whole time. It's played well. And then she's looking at him like, let's go inside. And he's like, you got any iced tea? Like, that's iced tea is the invitation. And then even when he's in there, this is great iced tea. Like, he doesn't know how.
Yeah, he doesn't have a
know
next
how
move.
to be. He doesn't have a next move.
Yeah.
He's waiting for her to give him the go. And she's very pushy and forward.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just goes with it. But it's completely consensual. But it does feel kind of rapey. But it's not. It's so awkward because
Yeah.
there's so many parts of that situation that are not right.
Mhm.
That you feel awkward for everyone.
And I'm pretty sure,
Yeah.
and I'm out of my depth trying to like psychologically analyze a teenage girl, but in this case, I think you could make an argument that she is traumatized by her dugout interaction with
Yes,
the 26-year-old. And this is how she's like trying to kind of rectify her new situation is, like, this is what I do now because he did this to me, and just trying to find someone who can, like, make her figure out what she's I don't know, man. This movie is not all happy times. Like, there's a lot of gross times and sad times.
But what's great is they show her the scene where she goes to her house with Rat, and she kind of pulls that Basic Instinct change into a robe kind of moment.
She reminds me of like a femme fatale from like a 50s noir movie.
Yeah, it's like, let me slip into something more comfortable, and it's like a silky robe. But then they look at baby pictures next. Like, it's innocent.
This is my dog.
Yeah, it's
my
cute,
cat.
but it's awkward because
They're
she's
dead now.
Yeah, like it's so perfectly done that you feel icky, but you don't, because it's innocent, but it's not.
I didn't feel icky. I felt bad for her.
No, I felt icky with the Damone
Honestly.
scene because it was just like it escalated and it didn't have to.
Well, yeah, the Damone scene, yeah. But the scene you're talking about where,
with Rat? No,
where they're
not
looking
icky.
at pictures, not icky at all.
It just felt weird that she's in this silk robe. It reminded me of you never saw Grease, right?
I know of it.
Well, there's a character named Marty.
Mm-hmm.
Marty Maraschino, like the cherry. Like, she's like that fronting, silky Asian robe, spraying perfume on letters, like just very racy, very, very fast.
Yeah.
And Sandy's the opposite of that. So
yeah.
I think Stacy's kind of trying to be Marty, but she's Sandy. But the whole time she's trying to be Marty, but she's not Marty.
Yeah.
And with the robe and everything. So just that awkwardness is played very well because she just had that other scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then she later has the Damone scene, and she's just all over the place, but she's just the volleyball. Like, she's
it's
just
nice,
an emotional volleyball.
It's nice seeing a woman confused about men. Because it's usually my whole life I've been confused by women.
Right.
And all the movies I've seen, it's all men confused by women. So this was a nice change.
There was a great quote. It said, women understand women and they can't stand each other. Like, if you're in a house full of sisters, which you are,
that may be true.
You kind of know. It's like I've been trying to figure out. I forget what the line was, but it's like, I've been trying to figure out women my whole life. Women understand women and they can't stand each other.
What's that from?
I can't remember what it's from, but it's like such a great male insight.
Yeah,
like it's a man comment. But yeah, in this movie, the women definitely are more layered characters than the guys. Like,
well,
even
I
Brad's
don't know.
girlfriend.
The thing about Brad, there's a scene at the beginning where he's working at the front taking orders, and the trainee burns a bunch of hamburgers, lights the thing on fire.
Right.
It's right as Brad is talking about how he wants to break up with his girlfriend because he's starting to feel like he needs some freedom. He's starting to feel a little like trapped in this long-term relationship and all this. And he goes up front and he says, as he goes back to the fryer, he says, "You've got to flip them or they'll burn." Right. And it's like right as he's personally going through this like feeling of, stuck, he is a burger. He needs to be flipped or he will burn. Right. Like, that's subtle.
Yeah.
But it's there and it's on purpose. And then he catches fire when the chick dumps him.
Brad is the epitome of just not being able to catch a break. Like, the whole movie, I just felt bad for him.
Brad was the closest thing to an adult.
Yeah.
In this movie.
Well, he's a single successful entrepreneur or whatever he calls himself while he's flipping burgers in the back of the...
I think he just said he was a
successful single
person.
Something, like a businessman
Senior,
or
I
something
think.
like that.
I don't know.
But
Did you notice who the girl was in the car when he's wearing the pirate outfit?
Hat. Yeah.
Who was that?
That's the God, her name escapes me, but she's the other half of Heart.
Nancy Wilson?
Nancy Wilson.
I'm looking at IMDb. I'm cheating. I don't know the members of Heart by name.
Yes. I think
Beautiful girl in car.
She might have been dating I want to say she was dating Cameron Crowe. But I don't know how old he was, so maybe she wasn't. But she has a connection to somebody in the movie.
I don't
she
know.
was in it.
I don't even know who Cameron Crowe is.
He's the guy that wrote this movie.
He's the guy who wrote this movie.
Oh, cool. Good job.
He
Mr.
made a movie
Mr.
called
Crow.
Almost Famous. Did you ever hear of that?
I've heard of it.
With Kate Hudson. It's a story of a 17-year-old boy who travels with interviewing rock stars for Rolling Stone magazine. It's his life story.
Yeah, and he wrote this movie
And he wrote
because that
this
was him.
So we'll probably watch that.
He also did another movie that we are definitely watching.
So there you go.
Cool.
You'll get to know him well. Gosh, this cast is just crazy.
That it is. Like, I don't even know who else to... we got to talk about Mr. Hand. Because he's like... Do you know where he's from?
Like the actor or the character?
Yeah. Like in the 60s, he was on a show called My Favorite Martian. And he played an alien.
No, I don't.
Okay, well,
know
that's what he
anything
was
about that.
famous for. So,
Okay.
people growing up with that TV show, seeing him in this, a lot older, and playing this basic father figure to all these people, all these misfits, and you hate him the whole time, but then at the end you kind of get him, and obviously when you get older you'll really understand them. But when we were watching this, we were like, oh, he's just another dicky teacher.
I had
But
him
it all makes sense now.
as a history teacher in high school. And he was like my favorite teacher because he didn't take anybody's shit. And
Yeah.
now I'm just like, oh, yeah, no, that's who I like. Should I have just been a teacher? Because I totally could have been that guy by now.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome. Mr. Hand in Post, you know?
The get a good one line.
So
We would say that all the time. We would just like rattle off people's last names and be like, get a good one. Because like if you're like kind of making fun of the other person, you'd be like, everybody come up and do this in front of them because they're not allowed to do it. But get a good one means like, like he's telling all the other people to eat his pizza in front of him. That's like the best. Like he's looking at him like, doesn't that make it our time?
And actually, Spicoli had a point.
He did.
I mean, you don't get to that point with your teachers until you get to college, you know?
Right.
Because, like, once you get to college, I don't know if there's any high schoolers listening, you should know that once you get to college, no one gives a crap about if you do well or not. Nobody.
Right.
You go to class or you don't go to class.
Unless you're paying for the school.
well,
No,
but even
that's,
then,
that's what I'm saying.
the professor doesn't
you
care.
Can pay, you can pay all you want.
Right.
Nobody is going to make sure that you pass your classes.
Right. They're not going to chase you down.
They do not care. You show up
your
to class
job.
or don't show up to class.
Right.
That's up to you. And
your
they
dime.
treat you like an adult. And if you want to eat in class, you do. Except, like, you don't order pizza because that's rude.
Right.
But, like, yeah, if you have a granola bar in class, like, nobody
Just
gives
eat
a crap because we're all adults. We're trying to learn psychology or whatever.
But you don't have, what's his name? Who's the delivery guy?
But it is true, though. It is their time.
Right.
It's both of their time. But you really, you're in high school, you're still just a kid. So really, I guess it's the teacher.
Yeah, high school is not where you have a pizza delivered.
I mean, you don't do that in college either.
It's like,
but
right
like-
here, dude.
But I remember my my teacher, my Mr. Hand was a professor, Dr. Davy. Dr. Davy, I never tried in school. I passed everything, and I got to Dr. Davy's class, criminal law,
Mm-hmm.
and I got my first C
Wolf.
in my life. And I was like, what the Because you know how he ran his classes? He was trying to make sure that his students got a taste for what law school feels like.
Right.
And the ones who did well, he would like sponsor to like write them letters of recommendation. He was picking out the lawyers.
Yeah.
And pushing them. And everyone who was not going to cut it in his class was just a waste of time to him. And so when I took him again for law and human rights, me and I don't even know his first name because I was in ROTC with him and he was Private Bolin. Shout out to Private Bolin if you're listening. We studied together and he was first in the class and I was second for that class.
So you were like Agent Starling.
Because I actually applied myself. Dr. Davy made me apply myself because I was like, yo, getting a C sucked. But I was like, let me see if I can actually go to law school.
Right.
And so I tried. I did well.
How's law
we
school?
all have that teacher.
I took my LSATs, but I never actually went.
Yeah. I didn't even
Decided I didn't
take
want
the
to do it.
LSATs. I just decided not to go. Kind of wish I had. After our Primal Fear episode, I feel like I
Well, that's-
really missed my opportunity.
That's the thing. That's why I get so like, I don't know, like emotional when I talk about like the police and like courtrooms and shit like that. Like I was like really passionate about that
Mhm.
about I don't know
I remember.
10 years ago. So yeah, love courtroom stuff.
I was an assistant manager at the movie theater, so
I
have
know
that going
you
for me
probably
in this
you
movie.
probably started as a
I was an usher. I started as an usher.
a ticket taker or
Yes.
whatever.
An usher,
Yeah, so-
like, waving across the food court to the cute girl that won't give you the time
Yeah.
of day.
I
And-
think
and I married
I was
her.
gonna say I think Travis actually did wave across to the girl.
Yeah,
At the concession
my wife and I
stand.
used to work at the movie theater together.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We went on break together. Yeah, this movie does hit.
Well, see,
pretty-
and that
pretty
is
good.
just a reminder to all the parents out there to make sure you pick a good place for your kid to work because they might marry a coworker.
It's true. I mean, I went to high school with her too, but working at the movie theater was like the hangout group of friends that we made.
There you go.
So, yeah,
You could make a movie about that
I could. I thought about it,
and call it butt work.
but work.
But work.
All right, who else is in this? I think we covered everybody.
No, man, we didn't talk about Forrest Whitaker in the least
Oh,
Forrest
right,
Whitaker
right.
role ever. Oh my God, he's so good. In the scene at the dance when he's just like getting down,
Yeah.
so cool.
The best is when he gets out of his car and Damone's talking down to him, and then he gets up and stands straight up, and he's like looking up. That's like, and the car.
What?
That was my first car too. That
What was that, a
Z28,
Pontiac or something?
that Z28 that he had.
That was a Camaro?
Yeah.
The way that they turn that car wreck into like motivation for the football game, that's
Yeah,
so clever.
incentive.
That was.
Oh God, I thought George was going to complain. The cheerleaders.
Oh, Kelly Maroney.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the all right. That I still have nightmares of that girl.
I thought it was supposed to be bad.
It is,
Yeah.
but it's like
It's fine.
it's so cringe to watch that because, like, I don't remember any pep rallies being that uncomfortable. But when you have 3 cheerleaders, I mean, really, they didn't have
Yeah.
many.
I mean,
But she was like, ugh.
Well, and
she made
she's
me wanna-
so good in Chopping Mall, Night of the
Yeah.
Comet, The
Yes.
Zero Boys. Have you ever seen The Zero Boys? Oh my
Never
God.
seen that.
Like, it's
I
a
remember her in
Nico
Night of the Comet.
Mastorakis movie. It's it's not good, but like it's Nico, so it's fun.
Right.
Shout out to Nico, friend of the show. Now, one connection we haven't talked about yet. Paul Thomas Anderson, the guy that directed Boogie Nights, recently did a movie called Licorice Pizza, which is way more directly like a high school movie, much more Fast Times. The name Licorice Pizza for that movie is on a sign in the record store in the background.
Nice.
Like he's pulling directly from this movie.
Is
So
it a period piece or is it modern?
it's
high
a
school?
period piece. Takes place in like 73, 74,
Okay.
something like that. So
interesting.
it all connects, man. This movie
Mm.
influences in some manner, like a lot of the movies we've watched on the show and will watch to come.
Yeah.
Word.
Well, this kind of came up when we did Porky's and we talked about that genre. And this movie kind of establishes that genre that eventually becomes like American Pie
Yeah.
and Road Trip, Euro Trip, like all those movies that, old school.
Not another teen movie.
Yeah, but I don't. Does that movie reference this at all? Or
Well,
is that
Not
more or
Another
less
Teen
reference
movie
the
is
90s?
a parody. It's like Scary
like a
Movie
spoof.
for sex comedies from the
Right.
90s.
So that references like
American Pie
She's
and
All
those.
That.
Yeah.
And Can't Hardly Wait.
No.
But you
Yeah.
don't get
Right.
that if you don't get American Pie. You don't get American Pie if you don't get this. This is good Porky's, is what this is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree.
Which we did say back then when we watched it.
What in the reverse Porky's is going on here?
The other line, the have a little pride, Brad. Like I love that line. when he's like, what are you doing? He's like, he's like, you want me to put it back on? Yeah. Have a little pride. Like, I feel so bad for him because he's got to wear that shitty outfit. Like, that's how we felt at the movie theater because before we had our polos, we used to wear these polos with our name tag. We used to have to wear a bow tie, a white collared shirt, a bow tie, and a blazer. And the moment we clocked out for lunch or dinner, that shit came off. Same with the girls, like their visors, their aprons, their stupid bow tie. Like, we couldn't wait to get out of uniform just for that 25 minutes or whatever. So I kind of felt bad for Brad when he had to wear that stupid pirate hat. Because, it's California. It's got to be hot. He's wearing that freaking outfit.
He has a
Turtleneck. And he's got girls checking him out, and he's not realizing he's wearing that stupid hat. Feel bad for Brad.
So Mr. Hand shows up at Spicoli's house.
Mm-hmm.
Walks in, sits down in his room full of pornography.
Full of porn.
Yes.
Wait, no. Before that, he's like, his brother Curtis is great. I do not hear you unless you knock. Curtis. Again, no adults. They reference Spicoli's parents or dad or mom, but you never see any adults.
Yeah.
None of their
Dad
parents.
says get up, you're going to be late.
Fucking
What's he call him, a butthole?
Yeah.
Butthole. Then he calls him a booger. I don't know. It's weird.
So Mr. Hand comes in to waste 8 hours of Spicoli's time.
Yeah.
And immediately I'm like, oh, so they're just going to do a podcast together?
Right.
It's like, oh, there's poor George. He's stuck with us. We've got hours of George's time.
That's funny.
I love his explanation of the British and the
Yeah.
We're gonna have some rules too.
Benjamin Franklin comes back and he's like,
"Hey, bud,
we gotta make our own rules, or else we're gonna have the same lame rules as them."
It's kind of Bill and Ted's.
That's true.
Very Bill and Ted's.
Yeah.
Very Wayne's World.
It is. Yep.
Yeah, you don't get the bad guys in Three Ninjas without Spicoli and Wayne's World.
The bad guys in Three Ninjas.
Yeah, I wish I saw Three Ninjas.
Oh, we'll watch. Hey, what are you doing next week?
You really do need to watch Three Ninjas.
Probably.
I watched
not after this.
I watched it as a kid, and I watched it again as an adult, and I was like, "Oh, this is bad." But you should still watch it.
I made Aaron watch it. Our good friend Aaron. I made him watch it just recently. I was like, dude.
Yeah.
Three Ninjas.
What do you think?
What do you think? Where's his dissertation?
Let's ask Aaron what he thought about Three Ninjas.
We want it 5 paragraphs, double spaced.
I'm telling you, it's a perfect Vinegar Syndrome release. If Brad from VS is listening, I wasn't kidding. Because I brought it up on Twitter with Brad from Vinegar Syndrome. I was like, dude, you got to do Three Ninjas and a prestige thing like you do in these 80s kids movies. And he's like, oh, ha, ha, ha. But then a bunch of people chimed in like, oh, yeah, that'd be tight. Let's do all 3 of the Three Ninjas movies as a set. And then all of a sudden he changed his tune. So maybe we convinced him.
The only way we're doing Three Ninjas is if we watch The Last Dragon as well. We have to watch The Last Dragon.
Don't threaten me with a good time, Travis.
We might actually do this, man. Why the hell not?
The Last Dragon is so just 80s cheese, but it's everything good about New York Ninja.
Well, and I would say the same thing about Three Ninjas. It's
been.
everything good about the New York Ninja without all the weird nuclear boobs.
Yeah.
Ay vey. It's like Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, God, don't make me watch that again.
I won't.
Ugh.
But I love it.
I know, and I just go, yuck. That's okay. Some of these movies.
It's my age.
You just had to see them at the right age, and 36 is the wrong age to see that movie for the first time.
Yes, definitely.
And I love Mortal Kombat, and everybody's like, oh, you're going to love it because you'll see Mortal Kombat stuff they ripped off from that movie. And yeah, I'm like, oh, great.
Yes, they did.
Hey, there's Shao, what's his name? This movie sucks. Cool. Shang Tsung. Oh, that's Shang Tsung. Cool, I get it. But I'd rather be playing Mortal Kombat. I'd rather be watching Mortal Kombat, the movie.
But it's got Kurt Russell, which we love.
That's true. We do love Kurt Russell.
I'd rather be watching Curtis play Mortal Kombat in an arcade.
Entree.
You ever seen the Mortal Kombat movie, George?
Nah.
Ooh, we won't probably make you watch that one, but it's good.
Yeah,
it's fun. Get over here.
What do they say when you
get
when you actually kill someone, it's like
fatality.
fatality. Yeah,
Which you would know if you listen to the show because I dropped that into an episode recently.
yeah. And what do they say when
Your soul is mine.
Isn't there like a drop when like someone's like about to like you hit them so hard that like they're like about to die?
And they're like all like
They say
There's-
finish
yeah.
him,
finish him.
It's not that one.
which you could have put in the
It's-
bathroom scene. Honest.
Doesn't anybody fucking knock?
Finish him.
Finish him. Finish it.
No, I want to say it's like it's not like mortal or fatal, but it's like a
There's flawless victory.
something hit, like a fatal hit or
That might be a different
know.
game. The only other
Yeah.
real like
Yeah.
sound I'm thinking of
Alright.
from Mortal Kombat besides like the flawless victory thing is the toasty that would pop up.
Toasty.
But that was more of like an Easter egg for the nerds than it
Yeah.
was like
The finish him was if you were dazed and you're like sitting there all wobbly.
yeah.
Like,
And
did
And I
you
remember
fatality?
the
Boom.
Khmer thing. There was like chains or something
Yeah.
that came out of the guy.
Scorpion.
Yeah.
Get down here. Over here. Which is kind of predator-ish.
Mm.
Are we watching Mortal Kombat next? Because it feels like we're watching Mortal
we're
Kombat.
not.
next.
We're
We
not.
shouldn't tease the people. Hey, but George, do you remember what we are watching next? Because for once we actually told you ahead of time.
Yeah, it's True Lies.
True lies. They're lies, but they're true. Or they're truths, but they're lies.
Do you? Are we done with this? Are we done? Are we done?
Done with what?
This movie?
I think so. Are we?
I'm gonna go home
Do we
and
have,
watch it
do
again.
we have anything else to say about it?
I'm
I
probably
don't
gonna
think
watch
so.
it again just for the hell of it. My wife, I guess, has never seen it because she started describing Matthew McConaughey,
right.
and I was like, "Oh no, this is a different movie." She's never seen this one, so yeah, gonna go probably watch it again this week.
So what do you know about True Lies?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I don't think so. Weren't we gonna do it during
So who's in it?
JLC Christmas?
Well, there you
Yeah.
go.
So I know that about it.
You know that she's in it.
Well, yeah, we were gonna do it during JLC Christmas.
Who
so I
else is
assume
in
she
it besides Jamie Lee?
I don't know.
Okay,
The mailman. I don't know.
let's leave it
Sounds
at
good.
that then. Yeah, excellent. Maybe
gonna
have
have
Meg start this one without
Meg
you
start
seeing
this.
the cover.
It's gonna be a Meg starter. Sweet.
All right. Well,
Sounds good to me.
now I'm
So
like
we
extra
have
excited.
watched this movie that everybody's been telling you to watch.
Yep.
Was it overhyped?
Yeah.
But it satisfied.
That was good.
I think once
It was
we
good.
watch 2 or 3 more from the 80s comedy genre, you're going to be like, oh, this is just Fast Times again, but shittier.
I mean, people go nuts over this movie, and it's not bad.
I think I liked it
I
more
don't-
this time than I ever have. And I've probably seen it 5 or 6
Right.
times.
Yeah, I think if I watch it a few more times, it'll grow on me,
If you
and
get
I'll really
people
love it.
my age, there's a reason. Younger people just kind of think it's a smart movie, and it's poignant and tackles issues, and they want you to see it.
Hmm.
People like me, it's so nostalgic.
Yeah,
that-
I don't get the nostalgia
Right.
of it. I'm too young for the nostalgia of it. By the time I was this age, we all had our faces and cell phones.
It's true.
So
What I think is interesting about the nostalgia effect of Fast Times is it comes right at the beginning of the Reagan administration as sex is starting to become more verboten again in public media, and drug use just say no, right? The party is over by 82. And so
Yeah.
I imagine as an audience seeing this movie in the climate that was our culture at the time, there might have already been a nostalgia for 10 years ago when people just were a little bit more chill.
yeah,
And then as you hit, the 80s and AIDS and all these things hit, by the 90s, this seems like a whole different planet.
yeah.
But thankfully, they didn't do any of that in this movie. There's zero politics in this movie. It's just
No, this is
you could watch this tomorrow, or you could watch it 30 years ago, and
yeah.
there's no browbeating, there's no preachy, there's just characters, and they all come from different parts, different ways,
Mhm.
and you just take them as they are. That there's no reason to pick sides in this movie, which is good.
But
it's a feel good.
Just
movie.
by existing as it does, it's making statements.
Definitely makes statements. Yes.
So it is political. It's just not like.
But not like Poltergeist makes statements.
Not like Poltergeist made statements.
Right.
Coming out on
just
4K
there.
soon. I'm gonna have to watch it again. Maybe I'll let my kids watch it.
Like they could.
Wasn't he reading a book? It wasn't like
Yeah.
Reagan's book he was reading. Yeah.
But I mean, like when they're in the mini mart, they could have had like magazine covers and stuff. Like just they didn't need it. This movie just stands alone. That you don't even really need to know what era it is. It's just it happened.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
What movie was it where the commercials that were happening in the 80s? Was it
That was RoboCop.
Was it RoboCop that had the really
Yeah, like to play the game like Nuke 'em.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nukem is so good.
the
That
the
robot
really
heart.
poignant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on. Didn't Back to the Future have kind of similar things in it? Or was it all RoboCop? It's all kind of blending together.
I think
for
you're just
me.
thinking about RoboCop, man. Because Back to the Future didn't show any like commercials or anything. It was very
No.
like
RoboCop is living rent free in your head, dude.
I know. I love it, dude.
It is in there.
I remember it, dude. When we watched that movie for the pod, I did not like it at all.
So
Guys,
did
I
you
love that
rewatch it
movie.
with your side chick group?
Kind of. I didn't watch like the
He
whole
directed
thing,
them
but
to watch it.
I pulled up certain scenes and then watched them again. Yeah.
And they didn't like
And
it. They just
I
don't
pulled
get
up
it.
my well no I wanted them to not like it so that I could show them the video of Peter Weller
Oh, nice.
and convincing them to like it.
How'd that go?
And which well, actually, I mean, I haven't gotten reactions from everybody. One of my coworkers is a big Verhoeven fan already, has seen it. He watched it again. He was like, "This is brilliant." And I told him about how when I watched it, I didn't like it, and then you got me a cameo from Peter Weller, and he like convinced me to like it. And now I watch it again, and I like
Shoots
it.
a guy in the dick.
Dude,
he does.
And so my
through a dress.
so my coworker who is a Verhoeven fan, and his name also is Dan, by the way. He was like, "Yeah, I'd really like to see that video," and I was like, "Well, I'm been trying to find it because I want to show it to like Alex and Maureen and like all these other people that are in the movie club because I didn't like it." And I'm like, "You have to listen to, Dr. Weller explain it to you, and then watch it again, or not. Don't even watch it again. Just think about it for a week, and you'll be like, you know what? RoboCop was a really good movie. Just think about it for a week."
Was their hang up the same hang up you had where they just weren't getting the satire because they're
No,
a different age group?
No, I think I mean the movie itself, like the characters and the way it's acted and the effects and like all that stuff is just it's not good. I still kind of stand by that. Like none of the actual movie is good, but the story is so good
Right.
that it kind of just it's good. It is good. It is a good movie.
Are we gonna have a RoboCop 2.0?
We should.
Maybe that should have been 100th episode.
We talked
Maybe.
about it.
So
We threw it around
a
as an
rewatch
idea.
and then to argue these points again. The acting wasn't that bad in that movie.
Well, I mean, maybe not.
I mean,
the
Peter
acting.
Weller friggin' nailed it.
I mean, yeah, Peter Weller.
I don't know. It was a little
minus the,
robotic.
There's
It was
yeah,
a little
robotic. No, I'm talking about like
I mean, the Ed 209 couldn't do stairs,
Ed
but other than
209.
that,
I loved Ed 209.
he's great. He whines like a dog.
Yeah,
But-
and it's just like all the boardroom people
you
and all the
realize how much-
criminals and the like the scenes where the criminals were like
Yeah,
doing
but they're
their
over
thing.
the
It's like
top on
they're
purpose.
over the top on I
Yeah.
get it. Like the guns, the explosions, the everything. Like it's all
Is this satire?
it's all over the top. It's over the top on purpose. It's not they shoot a guy in the dick. It's not a like
Your move, creep.
it's not a good movie.
Guns,
it's a great movie.
It is a great movie. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not a good movie.
Wait till you see Starship
is a
Troopers.
great
You're gonna
movie.
appreciate it even more.
So anyway, yeah, I showed them all RoboCop. They didn't like it. I showed them Peter Weller.
Maybe you
and,
should show them Kindergarten Cop.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
You're
But
in it.
It's
But
in
I
my
think
pile.
I think it went well. I
I've
think it
got
went over well.
I've got Kindergarten
because-
Cop in the pile here. So whenever you're ready for
Oh,
that,
do you? Okay,
Travis,
okay.
it's sitting
Yeah.
right here. in my I know
Nice.
we're going to have to watch this so I don't pack it up pile.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, but I didn't. Nobody got it. Like nobody gets it. Like you guys get
Wait,
it.
the
And now
the
I
scene
do.
to me is the teller. Is when Ed 209 unloads on the guy
Mm-hmm.
and just continues to unload on the guy.
Yeah.
If you're not into that, then you're not going to get the movie.
Yeah.
Like that's
It's-
the scene.
It's absurd.
What
It's
does other
absolutely
Dan
absurd.
think about Showgirls? Have you asked him that yet?
Oh, you're trying so hard.
I can.
Don't get too much info
I
because I
can-
still want to make you watch it at some point. But just feel
Right.
him out. Like, see if he thinks it's worthy of us to watch Showgirls.
Like when it was his turn, like way back when, he chose that other Verhoeven movie that we watched,
Total Recall.
Total Recall.
There you
Like
go.
that was his pick. And this was a while ago. It was like right after we watched it. So I watched it again. But yeah, nobody really liked it. And then
Total Recall either.
no. Except for Matt. Matt liked it.
Wow.
You
and
need
I think
new friends.
And Matt hadn't watched RoboCop yet when I went to the store to like hang out with the people and talk to them. Matt hadn't seen it, and I think Matt is going to love it if he hasn't seen it already.
Hmm.
If he's seen it already, I think he does love it. Timeline.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I should text him and ask him what he thought.
Don't forget to thank your listeners, George.
Thanks, listeners. Thanks for listening. You're the reason why we do this every week.
Aw.
Aw.
Thank you for joining us on the Remedial Film Class Podcast. As always, you can find us at facebook.com/remedialfilmpod. We'll be back next week with the difficult to stream, never on Blu-ray. You're going to have to find a DVD, guys. I'm so sorry. True Lies. And George has no idea what it is, even though it's going to be great. Come back. We'll see you then.